All right, we're ready for our student government report.
Good evening, school board and school board members. On November 7th, Boca Raton High School will be hosting the second county council meeting of this school year. Their theme is the 50s. Because this date is so close to Thanksgiving, the service project they are putting together is a Thanksgiving food drive. Students attending the meeting will have the opportunity to assemble a food basket that will be given to elementary schools for the families that can't afford a Thanksgiving dinner. At this meeting, there will also be resolutions proposed that I will hopefully be able to bring back to the school board if passed at our November meeting. Due to recent events in the Bahamas, schools around our county have participated in supply drives, giving students the opportunity to donate to the Bahamas and get community service hours in return. Some items that were collected include flashlights and batteries, toiletries like shampoo, soap, deodorant, toilet paper, paper towels, and toothpaste, bug sprays, first aid kits, water bottles, blankets, sheets, and much more. Other schools collected monetary donations at the beginning of their school day, allowing a few minutes in their first period class to raise as much money as possible for Bahama relief. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, along with Bullying Awareness Month. Schools are taking strides showing their support by wearing blue for anti-bullying and pink for breast cancer awareness. Sports teams are having pink outs at home games to encourage fans to show up and show out in support of the cause. The Royal Palm Beach High School varsity football kicker and a close friend of mine, Dominic Grasso, is a member of the organization Kicking Cancer with St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. This program raises money and awareness for the fight against cancer. The way that it works is after every point he makes this season kicking field goals and extra points, the money pledged to him gets donated, and his goal this year, by the end of the season, is to raise $1,000. Hispanic Heritage Month came to a close yesterday. Many schools around our county held events geared towards Hispanic Heritage Month, including my school, Royal Palm Beach High School, who hosted guest speaker Juan Pagan, the president of the Puerto Rican Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and Alvin Contreras and Anna Gari, two students from Palm Beach State College, who spoke about their experiences in the club Latinos in Action at Royal Palm's Hispanic Heritage Month Academia. Big shout out to Ms. Marsha Andrews for attending. In addition, Forest Hill High School also participated during this month by doing an event during their lunches where the Latinos in Action Club played Spanish music, painted students' faces, and created a mural to showcase at their school. On behalf of all Palm Beach County students, allow me to thank you for your time and support in these students' efforts throughout their communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Manuel, do you have homework? If you do, you are perfectly welcome to leave. We'll move to audit committee report. Do we have anybody here from audit? It's only written. Okay, it's attached. Construction Oversight Review Committee, Mr. Doctor here.
Good evening, Chairman Barberi, school board members, Superintendent Fenoy, staff. My name is Lou Doctor. I'm a member of your Construction Oversight and Review Committee, and I have with me this evening the results of our October 10th meeting. Our Cork membership is at 13 members. 11 Cork members were at the meeting. On your consent agenda, item 14, we reviewed several items. The first one was FC1, Okehely Middle School. You won't find that on your agenda tonight. It was presented to us because it's been rewritten, and the staff wanted us to have a chance to review it before it's presented to you at the next meeting, rather than waiting for a month to Cork to see it and then present it later on. It's a sales tax renovation. The dollar amount doesn't change between what we saw and what you're going to see, but the words and justification have been revised to make it more appropriate for the task of what's going on. Cork recommended it go forward by a vote of 10-0. The second one was FC2, Castaldi analysis for the education plant survey for Jupiter High School, Building 16. That was moved forward on consent. The third one under facility construction was FC3. They approved the construction contingency report per school district policy. We review the contingency report, which is authorized by policy for approval. You get an information copy. In reviewing it, we had several suggestions to staff. There could be some format changes in terms of the presentation that would make it easier to understand and make it a more informational document. And we suggested a summary for a better overview. Staff agreed to all the changes, and we recommended that it move forward by 11-0 vote. The reason the vote quantity changes, one fellow came in late to the meeting, he's now there, so that was an 11-0 vote. Under purchasing construction, PC1, there were 7 pre-qualified vendors submitted. The data packages represented approximately 300 pages. The vendors are renewed every 3 years and are required to resubmit some 8 documents that establish their licensing, their performance, their acceptances, and then they become on the list in their area of specialty that you can go out for quotes and you don't have to spend a lot of time reviewing their basic documents. The package was well put together, had a lot of useful information, and it was an education for some of the newer Cork members in terms of the work that went on behind the scenes. Your purchasing department did an excellent job, and as had been suggested a number of years ago, your legal department also reviews current ledgers to see that all legal matters that may affect the vendor have been reported to us. For example, in one case, there were 3 lawsuits that were reported by the vendor. Purchasing said that's fine, however, what was the disposition of the lawsuits? So they went back to the vendor went to his legal counsel. His legal counsel supplied us with the copies of the lawsuits, and all 3 had been dispositioned with prejudice, which means they're closed and the money and arrangements have been settled between the parties. And obviously that had no impact on the performance of it. But that was the depth of information that we received, and I just wanted to share you, to give you an insight of some of the things that we do. Under PC3, additional funds for building code services. The original contract was approved for $250,000. That was done within the authority of your superintendent. This was a request to increase the amount to $500,000. That requires your approval. It's an unusual situation, and it's a piggyback contract from Miami-Dade contract, which means we pick up their contract, their bid rates that they had at the time it was negotiated, and then we use the inspection services as we need them. With the increase in business going on in the county, your staff felt they might need additional services, and therefore they wanted to increase the dollar range, and that's why it's being presented to you. The vote was approved by a 10-1 vote. The reason for the 1 vote was one individual in Cork felt that by using a piggyback contract, we accept what Miami-Dade negotiated and had, and didn't run an independent review of the quality and work of the various vendors. Obviously, the majority of Cork felt that it was a wise thing to do. If we went out and rebid it now, we'd be paying higher rates versus the rates that Miami-Dade, and Miami-Dade has a reputation of being almost as good as the people in the work that we do. So that passed by a 10-1 vote. Under item 17 on your agenda, new business, Cork motion to allow staff to submit to the board a request for a waiver of term limits for the Cork chairperson position on Cork. That motion passed by 11-1. As you know, there's a 4-year term limit for advisory board members, and if we want to extend that, we have to request permission for the board, and then you grant the permission, and then that person can be considered for election. As you know, Mr. David Porter has been our chair. He does an excellent job. We appreciate the thoroughness he puts into it, and we're certainly pleased with the way he coordinates the Cork effort. Obviously, I am his spokesperson and represent him at the meetings here. So we ask you to approve the motion that we can take action to make him the chair for the next year. That's an exception to policy, so you have to approve it. In addition, we did review some proposed changes to the advisory committee procedures 1.09 and 1.093, and the Cork position was that the revisions weren't necessary. We didn't feel that the system that it's working today was more than adequate, and Cork didn't feel the changes were necessary. And those motions were approved by 11-0 vote. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Doctor, for all your hard work. Appreciate it.
We appreciate the work your staff puts in to work with us, and it's been a great relationship, and it's continued ever since Mr. Sanchez left, and we've been pleased to see that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go any further, we need to wish Dr. Robinson a happy 39th birthday. She's celebrating. Sure.
Okay, so I wouldn't have said anything, but you threw that 39th in there. Listen, I'm just telling you, like I tell everybody, I earned every now colored gray hair on my head, right? And that gray hair means I know stuff, right? So I am proud and pleased and honored that I am 63 years old and I am still standing, okay? All right.
Isn't it amazing? The older you get, the more you learn, and by the time you know everything, you die and waste it all. So it's like. Happy birthday. We'll move to elected officials and delegates.